The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary Related Entertainment.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where you'll find us talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's Cabinet and Appliance Showroom located in the Waikapu Base Yard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today, we're going to start off the show by talking about the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. That's a switch. We usually jump right into talking to our agencies, but the organization had its annual meeting and leadership awards ceremony a week ago. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate who some of the winners were of that event. In case you haven't heard, the Community Business Award went to Maui Coffee Roasters for their many efforts on behalf of the community and the great contributions to the nonprofit community. And then the Humanitarian of the Year was Sandra Florence for her tireless efforts with Hui Nuiao Visual Arts Center and Maui Memorial Center, among others. The final award of the night was the Executive Director of the Year, and I'm thrilled to say that was won by Chantel Rattay from Kalima o Maui. Chantel was the winner of the well-deserved award for ED of the Year. She doesn't usually come on the show. She sends Debbie Wonderscheid on the show to talk about what they're doing, and that's kind of who Chantel is. She's kind of behind the scenes, moving all the parts to make it all work, and that's it's done very well for her in her years at Kalima, and we salute her for winning that award. The other thing that happened at that event was the installation of new officers for the new year. Bevan Bowers of the Maui Mediation Services is the new president of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. So congratulations to all of you, and folks, it's quite an honor to be thanked by the nonprofit people, because without all of these folks contributing time, effort, products, services, you name it, we couldn't do our job, could we?
No, not at all.
Says one of our guests here today. We've got Monique Yamashita from Kahaleakaʻola. That's pretty close.
That's great. That was really good. I always cringe, like, and then
what is she going to do this time?
No, not just you, everyone. But you got it. Thanks, Susie.
What's the shortened form of it?
Kahale.
Kahale. Ah.
We said it's very hard to say Kahaleakaʻola, homeless resource centers, and so we said, let's just say Kahale. People will know that name.
There you go. Well, at least they'll get the holly out of it and understand that part.
Yes.
Which is great. We also have Joyce Kawakami. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Now she's in doubt.
Is that the right name for you today?
I haven't used a different one for many years.
All righty. And, of course, for most of you, that's a very familiar name. She's with Feed My Sheep. Actually, she started Feed My Sheep.
I did.
Quite a venture.
Quite a venture.
Did you ever expect for it to grow into what it is?
No. It was an accident. If I had known what I was doing, I would have quit years ago.
I've heard a lot of business people say that. But it just showed that you found a need and filled it.
Yeah, and just keep working towards the need. Somebody asked me the other day, just a quick, you must feel wonderful doing this. I say, what? And I started thinking about it. I said, wonderful, because all you see is the need, right?
Right.
As nonprofit people, that's what we see. We see a
Right.
need. We don't sit there and pat ourselves on the back for what we do.
Right.
We let you do
it's
that.
our job.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
our
that's what
job.
we
That's
do.
what we do.
Right, and we have to keep looking forward to more people who need us.
Yeah.
We say that the best thing in the world would be if we worked ourselves out of jobs,
Always.
but the likelihood of that is not quantifiable. I mean, I don't see
Well,
anything.
even if we get ourselves to a place where we meet the need, if we stop working, the need won't be met anymore. So it's like,
right,
so what do you say?
right. It just keeps growing, and more and more people go homeless and hungry.
Well,
Actually.
we actually have a small decrease in the amount of homeless that we found on Maui. So the 2018 point in time count, we had a negative or a decrease of 2.6%.
So it's actually 24% over the last 2 years decrease.
Wow.
It's just it just seems more visible now.
What accounts for that decrease? What did we do?
I would say that we've housed more of our homeless population than we ever have before. So we've really made an emphasis to change how we operate our services to look at being housing focused, because how we end homelessness is to house people. And the other help is just the influx of funding that are helping people with rental assistance. So there's rapid rehousing funding available. The County of Maui has their rental assistance program funding, which is amazing. And I just hope they continue to fund that grant. So there's some good resources and help there for families and singles who are homeless.
Wow. Do we hit a point then at which some of the people just don't want to be housed? They like living on the beach or in the woods, or
That's a difficult thing to answer, because in all honesty, everybody wants to be safe in a home, but sometimes they don't feel like they can meet what needs to be done to have that happen. And that's where Housing First, that we're working on now, has really made the difference, because it's the idea is to get them into the house, then meet the needs and help them work through their problems. Before they had to meet criteria, right?
Yes.
Monique,
Yep.
then it was very difficult for them to do that. So now it's reversed. It's like pulling the cart before the horse. Before, now it's let the horse
Right.
pull the cart of people and help them find the services they need.
wow, that's what a concept.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the decrease, and that's what we keep hoping for, is that we'll continue to have decreases in our homeless in our communities.
Interesting. Okay. So some of the people that just seem totally relaxed and fine with finding a spot for the night, or they've kind of carved out a place where they go every night, maybe that's not the lifestyle they really want.
Sometimes they think it is, but I
Yeah.
think down the road they will really, when their friends are housed and comfortable, they're going to want to be a part of that too. I know one lady who lives on Alamaha. She's housed, but her boyfriend isn't, so she's out there every day visiting him. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Yeah, but anyway, she eventually he may want to go be safe like she is. at
And
night.
it speaks back to, Joyce, it speaks back to building a relationship. So I think right now they might not be ready to get housed, but with building relationships with the different agencies that work with our homeless population, through outreach, through agencies that they may go to for assistance and resources, building those relationships, getting that trust, knowing that there's resources available to them, and then they get housed. And part of that is the agencies that are in the Maui Homeless Alliance that work with our homeless individuals to feed and house them.
That's really key. The relationship is key. Right.
And then once they've been housed, there are other agencies that work with them to understand the pieces that go with that,
Exactly.
how to stay housed.
At Kahaleakeola, we actually have a housing retention specialist on staff. So that person will work with our out clients, so to speak, who are now housed, to ensure that they meet the needs, that they meet their lease agreement, that they understand what that means. They work with the landlords to help the landlords kind of be a liaison between the two, because we want them to be successful in housing. And some newly housed tenants may not understand something as what we think is simple as you can't have friends stay over for an extended amount of time. That would break the lease agreement. So something simple as that, helping the tenants to know how do you abide by the lease agreement and stay housed for success.
Right.
And there's other agencies. Family Life Center also does that. And I think Steadfast Housing and Mental Health Kukua,
Right.
there are all support systems in place for those who are housed.
And then Family Life Center works. Oh, I think that's me. I'm sorry.
There's you started to say there's also
They're great on their.
She's an executive director.
we should say hello. You're on the radio. Go ahead.
Should have done that. That was my husband.
Oh,
He's the only one I actually allowed to ring that loud.
I see.
So the Family Life Center does an amazing job on outreach, and they never give up on anyone. And that's the Maud of the Family Life Center is the first person I ever heard say, I believe everyone wants to be housed. They're just not ready at this time. So with that kind of heart, they just don't give up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to live by. Everyone wants to be housed. They just don't know it yet.
Or something along that line.
Yeah,
I'm
something to that
paraphrasing.
effect. Yeah.
Right.
But that's a good point, and we know from experience that once people have a home, everything else comes together
Yes.
because there's a base.
Right.
Yeah. So we're here because we're going to talk about National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week coming up in November. What is this? The week before Thanksgiving? 2 weeks? 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
It's the week before Thanksgiving.
The week before Thanksgiving.
And traditionally, that's the week we always celebrate, or just, we celebrate, but it's to bring awareness to the
Right.
community. There's no action plans beyond just bringing awareness and humanity to the situation, because it's something we're dealing with every day, right? And then Monique, especially being with the Kahale Akiola, deals with it every day. And then I Feed My Sheep, hundreds of homeless on a daily basis. So it's something we want to bring to the community, to put a face on it, to let them know what's going on in the community, and then to help them understand that they can help the homeless situation on our island. But to bring us all together as a community is always an important thing to do. And I think part of the reason for this is also to let the community know we are working really hard on this. And it's not our problem, it's the community's problem.
Right.
It's not Kahale Akiola's problem, it's not Feed My Sheep's problem, Family Life Center's problem, it's the whole community's problem. And everyone can make a difference.
Right.
And just understand that we are working very hard on this, and things are happening.
No, at Kahale.
Yes.
Aha.
Nice.
Ah, cool. I like that. Somebody who is temporarily homeless can come and see you,
Yes.
right? For short term, they're in between either rentals or something's happened at home and it's not working, so somebody has to move out. But they intend on going into their own apartment in 2-3 months, whenever it's available.
Yes.
So they can come see you and find that temporary housing, right?
We do. We actually have emergency shelter and transitional shelter for our homeless population. So we work with all of our guests to get them housing ready and to get them into permanent housing. Some families some people take a little bit longer than others. So you can imagine a large family might stay with us a little bit longer than a single adult. But we work with them from the time they walk through our doors. We say, okay, everything we're going to do from here on out is about getting you into permanent housing and to keep you successful in that housing.
Interesting. Now, are you the only ones that can do that?
No. There's other
else
homeless
does?
service providers. Family Life Center also
Okay.
has the same programs and resources available. And we actually work with the county as well through the coordinated entry system and mental health Kukua to identify those who are homeless and their vulnerability, and to find out what type of housing we can work with them to get. So some may need permanent supportive housing. That's for our chronically homeless population. We have some that you mentioned, it might be a situational homelessness where maybe they lost their job, so they just need to increase their income. They might need a little bit of rental assistance, and then they can go back into housing and they'll be successful. So there's all different degrees of assistance that a homeless person may need. And there's many agencies that fulfill that need.
Interesting. It's it's one of those things where I know when we talk with like the food bank talks about how people, you get down towards the end of the month, they're out of money, they're out of food stamps, which are now called
SNAP.
SNAP. Okay. And so they come looking for food. But then when they get that paycheck at the end of the month, they're right back on track. But they just can't seem to plan appropriately, or something happens during the month that causes them to be hungry. And you're in the same boat, right? Working with folks. Now, do you have distribution centers?
Yeah, we
Locations?
have five distribution centers. We're island-wide, right? So tomorrow we're in Lahaina. Friday we're in Wailuku, Happy Valley. Saturday we're in Kahului and Kihei, and monthly we go to Hana.
Oh, okay.
So-
Now you take your trucks and go there and set up tables.
And then we're at the same location, same
Yeah.
time.
Do
So,
do people?
consistency.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
After, sorry, I just,
Okay, we're going to take a short break and then we'll come back and talk about it.
The following is a paid program and is not necessarily.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we're back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our Maui nonprofit executive directors to find out what's happening in their world. And today's show, we were supposed to be talking about National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week, and I kind of led everybody astray here. Actually not, because I think it's important that everybody knows
It is.
that these resources are out there, and that you two just represent part of was it a coalition? That works on this effort. And so let's talk about what's coming up here, starting with Tuesday, November 13th.
We're going to tag team here. So on the Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week is a national, might even be international now, because I believe Canada is participating as well. And it happens the same week every year, the week before Thanksgiving. This year is November 11th through 17th. So on Tuesday, November 13th, because Monday is actually Veterans Day. So anyway, the mayor's proclamation, we're doing a proclamation on hunger and homelessness at 9 a.m. in the county building. Anyone can come. There's sign waving that same day, 4:30 to 5:30 at on the Kahumanu Avenue on the Macy's side. So we'll be going there, and we just bring a sign, but we ask people if you're going to bring a sign, emphasize hunger and homelessness. You know, a couple ideas would be homelessness hurts everyone. Paradise is when everyone lives in a home. Just we're here in unity to emphasize that we're working on homelessness and it's a concern in our community. And then that same day in Lahaina, there's a West Maui community meeting by the West Maui Taxpayers Association, and it's on hot topics, and there'll be a panel of guests there who are there to talk about this specific issue, which Monique will be there, I will be there, Maud Cumming will be there, Jan Shishido from the Department of Housing and Human Concerns, and others that are part of the Homeless Alliance will be there. And then, Monique, you want to talk about the next one?
Sure. I just want to add to that with the West Maui Taxpayers Association. It's a good place to, if somebody has questions about homeless services or what's happening, it's a good place to go to have question and answers.
And then write your questions down, because they're not allowing open questions. Just write your question down and it'll be passed on to who it's meant to be for.
And they have really good food, by the way.
Yeah, it's free.
Yes.
Free food.
Free food is awesome. And then on Wednesday night, Wednesday, November 14th, there will be a candlelight vigil at Queen Kahumanu Shopping Center from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that's also a really nice event, really just to remember and honor those who have struggled with homelessness, for those who will struggle with homelessness, and it's just it's kind of a good evening just to remember and be aware of what we're dealing with in our community.
Now do the last.
And then on Thursday, November 15th is the Patrick Foyle Resource Fair for the Homeless. That will be at the Salvation Army at 45 West 45 West Kamehameha Avenue in Kahului. That's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the resource fair is for those community members who are homeless, who need to get resources. They have toiletries, they have food available, they're going to have giveaways. It's really to help our homeless population know what resources are available to them and how we can help them get their needs met.
Yeah, that's a great one. I enjoy that one.
That's it. Many agencies will be there.
Yeah, we all set up a table and we offer resources plus little door prizes and things like that. And then on Friday, there's a statewide homeless conference on Oahu. I guess it's filled, so no one else can come on in, but it's for organizations like Monique's, like Feed My Sheep, and others, and the Homeless Alliances. We get together and we talk about this, and we hear from government officials on what's going on and what the future plans are. So that's a whole week of events that brings awareness to hunger and homelessness.
Interesting. It's a pretty full week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, on that resource fair, now that's obviously someone who's homeless would want to come to that
Yes.
to learn.
Absolutely.
But people who are interested in maybe they know someone who's homeless. Can they come and just find
Yeah.
out what's going on and
Oh,
what
absolutely.
resources are available?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's maybe one of the best places to start if you don't know
Exactly.
if you haven't talked to anybody before.
It'd be amazed. You'd be amazed how many people don't know what's available. So yeah, it'd be a great place for them to come and find out what's available.
And if anybody has more questions too, calling one of our agencies, we can also offer any type of information to someone who needs that, who has questions.
Okay. And we've got Joyce's phone number, 872-9100. That's for Feed My Sheep. And for Monique?
They can go to our website, www.khako.org, or call our agency, 242-7600.
One more time.
242-7600.
Great. Thank you very much. So, I'm always curious about sign waving. Do you ever get any feedback from people that sign waving kind of maybe clicked that bell or that light came on in their minds that there is something that can be done or somebody they can talk to? They've never really thought about it, but the sign waving kind of woke them up.
I haven't heard feedback from someone else. I can only speak personally to anytime I've seen sign waving, it does that for me.
Yeah.
It makes me think, oh, wait a minute, yes, there's this thing happening. And so it does bring a presence or an awareness to me when I've seen it. So I hope it does the same for others.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wondered because it's not really the kind of thing where you look for feedback necessarily, but everybody does it, so there must be a reason.
Right. It does work. It does bring awareness.
And I think it's typically Hawaii that does that, right?
Probably, yeah. You don't see it too many other places. Now, is the sign waving at the Cannery Mall in West Maui, is that happening?
From my understanding, yes. Usually there's only one or two people so far. But,
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely. So they can call me as well, and I can connect them with the people who are running that. So that'd be great if people show up for that
would
as well,
be.
and then go to the panel
Right.
immediately after.
Okay, because we kind of, unless I missed it, if I dozed off, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I dozed off and forgot to tell you.
Because we went kind of straight to the panel discussion.
And I didn't mention our theme either. Our theme is join together to feed the hungry and house the homeless. So
There we go. There we go. Last minute thoughts. We're running out of time.
I just want to always thank the community for their generosity and for caring and always thinking about us. We get donations. We have food sponsors that come into our shelter to feed our guests. So I do just want to thank the community.
yeah, that's our community is amazing. Maui is an amazing place to live. Very giving, caring community.
Right. And thank goodness.
Yeah.
That goes for kind of all the services that all of our agencies provide. We say at the end of the show something about if you see an agency that you're interested in learning more about, go to their website or give them a call and find out how you can help. And it works. I mean, people do that.
Yes.
It's great because in many cases, I'm not sure everybody understands that we really have so many agencies doing so many things for our people.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone is needed. There's no duplication. There's a little variety, and there's a lot of coordination between agencies.
And collaboration.
And
Amazing
collaboration.
Yes,
between
so true.
agencies.
Right, right. So, let's see. I don't say have a successful. Yeah, I do. Homeless and Hunger Awareness Week. Let's keep bringing that number down.
Yes, Susie, definitely. Well, we always strive for that.
That's what we strive for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you. Last minute thoughts.
God bless you, everyone.
There you go.
Come and join us.
I think I missed a line there, but
It sounded vaguely familiar, but okay, very good. So, National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week starts on Tuesday, November 13th, with sign waving, a proclamation, etc., and the candlelight vigil on Wednesday at Queen Kahumanu's Shopping Center. The Patrick Foyle Resource Fair at Salvation Army on Thursday, and that's about it for that week, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So thank you all for what you do, and keep doing it.
Thank you, Susie.
You do
Thank
it. So,
you.
you do it so well.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Joyce and Monique.
you-
Okay, we're going to shift gears now. We're going to talk with Mr. Ken Hunt of Parents and Children Together, otherwise known as PACT.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I haven't seen you for a little while, but
Since
it's
last
always-
time.
It's always good to meet you here.
So we were going to just kind of talk about your programs, and you know them best, so I'm going to let you just take the floor and kind of run with it.
Okay.
Tell everybody what PACT is all about.
Okay. First of all, let me say thank you to the radio station here and to you for giving Maui nonprofit programs the opportunity to come and talk about their services and our purpose and all of that. So that's kind of unique to Maui too, I think. And these kinds of things happen in unique places and small places and special places. So thanks to everyone who's responsible for doing that. And thank you to you personally for continuing to host this show for such a long period of time.
A long time, yes. That's a great. I'm going to interrupt you just
Sure.
a second because
Sure.
we're talking about our 10th year coming up in January, and we're gonna pull some information from some of those first shows and talk about it starting in January, and talking about some of the people who made it happen and got it off to such a good start, so that will have been here 10 years.
Right. It's a great opportunity for all of us to be able to talk about these things that we do. One of the things that I will say is that originally when we signed up to come and visit you this week, we were going to be promoting our 50th anniversary PACT, Parents and Children Together's 50th anniversary celebration event, which originally was scheduled to take place here on Maui this coming weekend. However, we had a change in schedule, a change in plans, and what occurred instead was we did have an event at the Kapalua Rodeo Club and Arena earlier this month, where we joined with the roping club and provided lots of information, food, fun, games for children, horseback riding, and lots of things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a fun day. About 150 people showed up for that and had a great time doing it. So the event was to celebrate Parents and Children Together's 50th anniversary as a nonprofit organization in the state of Hawaii. Here in Maui, PACT began its services in the early 90s, and around 1993-94 is when we actually began providing, started out small with services being provided to persons who needed assistance in child abuse and neglect and domestic violence, and have grown to today to our present program, which includes not only continued services for for kids who are been subject to child abuse and neglect, but also through domestic violence, through the court system and other referring agencies. Earlier this month, we were partners with other agencies who deal with domestic violence and victim and survivor groups as the mayor made a proclamation proclaiming October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So and there have been a series of activities that have been going on all month related to that. So that proclamation took place. We continue to provide group services for both men and women and children. For those who've been affected by domestic violence, by those who have some anger control issues in the family. We provide those weekly. We have groups going Monday through Saturday and include, like I said, both men and women. We have services provided to young children as well as to teenagers who are having some issues in that area as well. You know, more and more we're getting concerned about suicide issues and bullying in schools and that kind of thing, and we are doing our best to try to respond to that by working with the schools and by providing training to those who are being impacted by it. One of the unique things that we also do is we provide services at Maui Community Correctional Center. Every Friday, we provide anger control and domestic violence awareness groups for both men and women. We have two groups for men and two groups for women, and we send our group facilitators or staff in to provide services for an hour-and-a-half session with them. And anyone that is in the facility and exits the facility and continues to be on probation or parole or need to continue to be in the classes, that we can give them credit for what they've already achieved in the facility, and then they can come and join a regular group that we hold at our facilities out here in the community. I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we're doing currently and what we've started to do in cooperation with the Maui Food Bank is provide food items for some of the men and women in our groups. We've started that process about a couple of weeks ago, and anyone in the group we're going by group, and we'll bring, depending on the number of persons in the group, we'll bring a bag of groceries that we've been able to obtain that have been donated by the community to the Maui Food Bank, and are able to distribute those to the members of the group. So that'll be happening on a continuing basis going forward. One of the things that we talk about doing and like doing, and with agencies like other nonprofits, is work very strongly in partnership with others, because as you know, we're all spread pretty thin, and we can't do all of these things alone. So we really rely on one another, and it's great to be able to work with other agencies to bring awareness, education, to support one another in the events that are being put on. Some of the people that we work with include Maui, the Maui court system, the Second Circuit Court, the family court judges. In fact, Margot Sneed, who's the director of our program, is at the moment making a presentation for the family court judges in their courtroom today at one of their gatherings for lunch, and talking about essentially what I'm talking about here today, which is the services that we provide. Otherwise, she'd be here with me, but anyway, we had to split it, and that was fine. Anyway, we work closely with the judges, and of course the way that works out is that if the judges are aware of what's available in the community, when a case comes before them and they're aware of the services that are available, they can make a judgment as to what the individual or families may need or could benefit from. So that's a large portion of who the referrals are that come to us is from the family courts, from juvenile court. And so keeping in good communication with them about the services we provide and what that entails is really going to be helpful to them in their deliberations.
It sounds like that gives them some alternatives when they're passing sentence, or or if they're talking about community service, or not that necessarily, but probation. To attend some of these activities that you have could be a real plus in many cases.
Yeah, it's a great alternative to sending people to jail, for example.
Right.
I mean, the whole idea is to try to keep as many people out in the community as possible.
Right. On that note, we got to take a short break.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we're back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our Maui Nonprofit executive directors to find out what's happening in their world. And today, in the second half of the show, we're talking with Mr. Ken Hunt of PACT, Parents and Children Together, and talking about some of the programs they have, which I think a lot of times we kind of get. When we think about this, we look at a name of an agency and it tells us something. But there's no way the name can tell you everything that they can do or that they're involved in, things that are related to the name. And before the break, we were talking about how Margot, the director here of the Maui office, is talking to the judges and explaining to them, family court judges, what some of the programs are that could be of great benefit to some of the clients that come before those judges. When it comes to sentencing or some requirements they might want to put on that sentence. Because I just, I feel that if somebody wants to really change, or maybe it's not change, but get back to their roots or whatever it might be, that if they know there's a class out there that they could join, where it becomes just kind of natural again to be this way, I really think that has a big impact on somebody. Am I overstating?
No, first of all, you're right. It really comes down to an individual choice in many cases. Sometimes that choice has to have a nudge,
Right.
in that direction, and the nudge might be a threat of jail time or the threat of something else more serious. And in fact, I don't mean to minimize this at all, because domestic violence is a very serious issue in our community.
Right.
It's all around us. We all know that. We read about it in the newspaper. We hear about it in the news reports. Some of the most violent crimes that have committed around domestic violence have taken place in Maui, and it's very, very serious matter. Most serious for those people who are involved in it, and that would be could be a husband, it could be a wife, could be children, could be neighbors, could be other community members who have become witnesses to this. And I think, unfortunately, we may have all had some experience with that, either in our personal lives or in our community where we live. So it is a serious matter. It is something that needs to be dealt with directly. And one of the challenges about that individual choice is the issue of coming forth and admitting that there is a problem, that there is an issue, that I have an issue, that I have a problem, I'm responsible, I can do something, I should do something about it. And sometimes I have to be forced to do it with this thread I talked about. Other times I can decide, this is something that is a problem that I have, and it's something that I want help with. Who's out there that can help me with this? And Parents and Children Together here on Maui is one of those agencies that can help. Our approach, typically with those who first enter the program, we have what we call an orientation session, where everyone that has been referred to us, whether it's by the courts, whether it's by probation, Department of Human Service, by Maui Police Department, by any other agency who has been made a referral to us, they will all come in at one time and in a room. Most of the time it's men, but we also have women. We have a separate session for the women. But most of the time when we talk with them, it's really about saying to them, even though we know you're here because of a serious issue, we're not here to judge you about what that was or that is or the reasons or anything. That's already taken place elsewhere. Our role here is to provide you with an opportunity to learn new skills, to become more aware of the effects and the trauma that are related to these issues around domestic violence, child abuse and neglect, and so forth. And we want to help you with that. We want to help you be able to deal with these issues as they come up in your life going forward. We can't go back and do anything about what has already occurred, but we can help you going forward. And if you're a willing partner, and if you're willing to to make that change, we're here. That's why we're here. So we have no authority really to say to them, you have to be here. It's
Right.
really their choice. They can always walk out the door, or they can walk out the door and never come back. That's up to them. That's beyond our scope of any authority that we have. So again, our role is to create awareness, to educate, to provide opportunities for skill building, learning, practice, opportunities to talk about the issues that are in their lives that are causing them to bring them to these kinds of acts, and to try to intervene in some way and interrupt that process. This is just like a lot of these issues are they're based in psychological issues that are derived from many, many different settings. Some of us from when we were children, we grew up in a certain household or a certain way, and our parents had an impact on us in the way that we grew up. So it's behavior that we have learned over time. And what's good about that is it's behavior that we can unlearn as well. And when we're ready to unlearn some of those behaviors, it can make a very important change in our lives. And one of the successes I can talk about is that in group, when there is a group setting, and the groups typically would range from maybe a dozen to up to 18 or 20 guys, or not as many. The women's groups are not as large, but mostly men's groups. When you see a change take place, I hear the change take place with the way that men talk about what's going on in their lives and how they're dealing with issues as they go back to their family or to their situation. And they can say to another person who's just coming in for the first time and say, I used to think like you. You really used to act. You did a lot. You remind me about the way I was several months ago when I first entered. But now I know better. Now I know the difference.
Yes. A lot of it comes down to picking the right option. Mm-hmm. When you're faced with a situation. I mean, you can either do things the way you did before, or now, after having gone to class, you know that there's other ways to approach the situation that's a non-violent or whatever way you want to talk about. But sometimes they've never been really shown that it's your choice. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You don't just have to do that.
Right. And it's hard, speaking from a male perspective, it's very difficult and very challenging to admit certain things in our lives. The things that as a male that are expected of us, and the choices that we make, and being around other men, other males, of course, just reinforces a lot of the behavior that we have grown accustomed to being as normal.
Right, right.
And we say, oh, well, that's what you do,
Yeah.
and yet you step back from that and you become more aware and see the effects of what's going on. You realize, wait a minute, that's not really normal. It's
Right.
not. There's something going on here, and I need to do something about that. And that can be very challenging. I have to also say that there are times when guys don't get it at all. After attending 29 weeks of
Really?
a group, they still walk away feeling like, I just did that, and now I'm good, But it'll come up again. It often will come up again, and unfortunately, we'll see them again. In a year later, or maybe in 5 years later, we'll see them again. It's kind of disappointing to see them,
Right.
and most disappointing for them, obviously, because now they had to come back
Right.
and go through it. But on the other hand, it gives them another opportunity. They didn't quite get it the first time. They didn't quite learn what they needed to do. They didn't quite practice what they could have practiced. But maybe it took another incident to occur before they realized, okay, now I got to do something else. Yeah. And it doesn't apply just to men. It applies to all genders, and but mostly it applies to men. I mean, probably 80 to 85% of our clients are male. Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more children affected by domestic violence. It's interesting and sad to know that children remember these kinds of things when they see it in their home, when they see mom and dad fighting and arguing and hurting each other. It impacts them, and they remember it. What's good about kids is that they can be very resilient. They can bounce back from much more easier than adults can from these incidents. So
Do they sometimes carry it forward? Like, I mean, treat friends in a similar manner because they think that's how you treat people?
yes. What happens is they begin acting out themselves in school with other kids in school. They can start with a bullying approach. They can, as they get older, they may be. One of the basis for all of this is around power and control, and they can start to exercise that in their early adolescence.
Wow.
And carry it on into adolescence with their interactions with their girlfriends, with their boyfriends, and really begin to start practicing some of these things without even realizing what they're doing. So there needs to be some intervention there as well.
And you really can't blame them because they don't know any better.
That's right.
That's a learned lifestyle.
And you'll hear some of the men in the group say, well, this is how I grew up. This is what I saw. This is what my dad did. And there's, what can you say about that? That's what they learned, is how you deal with this.
Right.
And so, but on the other hand, again, it's a learned behavior, something that can be unlearned. But unless there's a realization that there's something wrong with this approach, or there's something different that you can do, it may not occur.
Right.
We know that domestic violence occurs much more frequently than we know of, because we're only getting those that have been caught, essentially.
Right. Right.
But we know that it happens all the time. And it's not just physical abuse. It's sexual abuse. It's financial abuse. It's emotional abuse. It's just that everything about power and control over the whole situation. Children can be used in an abusive way against a partner. There's just so many ways that that a person can feel that and use that to their advantage. And as a male, you're in a role that, especially you're bigger and much more stronger than your partner, you're going to have probably a better opportunity to exercise that role.
Right.
So, but you can turn that around, and I've seen some very gentle giants,
Right.
emerge, and most loving, capable individuals that you can ever learn. And then that's really a key to their own children. It's a key to passing that kind of knowledge and skill and practice onto their own children, because you're right, it is a cycle that continues
Right.
if gone unchecked. But it can be broken by someone who decides they're not going to do that. They grew up that way. They knew what that was like. I'm not going to do that to my own children. And they have the opportunity to play a key role in that.
Wow. Ken, this has been enlightening. Thank you very much for coming on and talking about
You're very welcome.
your program and this one especially. I mean, it's like, I guess as somebody who fortunately has never been around this kind of lifestyle, if you will, my initial response is, well, can't they see that nobody else does this?
Yeah.
Nobody acts the way they're acting, kind of a thing. And the bottom line is they don't, because they're not looking for anything else. This is what they know. And yet in more recent years, I've found out some of the people that I thought the best of lived that way at home. They were a different person outside of the professional public life than their private life, and I mean that would be a real challenge to work with.
Right. I will mention very quickly that we do have some job openings.
Okay, real
in our
quick, we got
organization.
a minute.
Okay, so I mean, all people need to do is go to our website, pacthawaii.org, and see what we have available, and encourage people to apply for the positions that we have available.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. As we've been talking with Ken Hunt of PACT, Parents and Children Together. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Give Paul and his staff a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. Today we visited with, we had Kahale. See, I'm going to mess it up. Kahale. Kahale Akaola and Monique Yamashita. We visited with Joyce Kawakami from Feed My Sheep and with Ken Hunt from PACT, and talked about what their agencies are up to. If you heard anything that makes you want to get involved in one of these agencies, give them a call and ask for more information or check out their website. We want to thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to join us again next week right here on Wednesday at noon, KAOI Radio, when we'll be featuring representatives of two other member agencies of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. Until then, I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. Check us out on Facebook. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha.